drones. While these destroyers have, at times, struggled in bringing down drones in the Red Sea, both for technical reasons and cost reasons, they'll be operating in coordination with each other, the Lincoln, and the multiple helicopter and fighter squadrons operating off the carrier. Taken together, this carrier strike group is likely to be the center of anti-Iran operations, although it may not be alone for long. The USS George H.W. Bush and its associated carrier strike group appears to be towards Europe, while several smaller combat ships and 2 additional guided missile destroyers are already active in the Persian Gulf. As usual, there's been no indication that any American submarines are in the region, but given the large naval buildup in the area, their presence and their ability to launch their own long-range missiles should be expected to play a role. And then there's all the other assets currently surging into the Middle East from elsewhere. Over the last week or two, open-source trackers have monitored constant back-and-forth flights by dozens of strategic airlifters, each capable of carrying over 75 tons of military hardware at a minimum. Satellite imagery indicates that a fair proportion of their cargo have probably been Patriot missile defense systems, with a massive number of Patriots now visible at US air bases, especially at Al Udeid in Qatar. Those systems are intended to guard against massive retaliation from Iran, which had trouble hitting Israel consistently during the 12-day war of 2025, but can attack US bases in Qatar, Bahrain, and elsewhere with greater ease. The US Air Force has acknowledged its decision to deploy over a dozen copies of the F-15E Strike Eagle to the Middle East, supported by refueling tankers. These are fighters that are optimized to fly loud, fast, and heavy, dropping immense amount of ordnance in the process. They've been joined by Eurofighter jets from Britain and Germany and Rafale fighters from France, indicating that each of those US allies expects to join in the strikes, albeit by deploying aircraft in fairly small numbers. On Monday the 26th, at least one copy of the United States' essential stealth aircraft, the Rivet Joint, made a transatlantic crossing, while several tankers appeared to be prepping another crossing to ferry Growler electronic warfare aircraft to some destination across Eurasia. Finally, there's all the assets already in place that are entirely capable of participating in a new series of attacks. Just in the nation of Jordan, the US has faced 6 destroyers, 2 known submarines, and roughly 35 F-15Es, all capable of protecting Israeli airspace or making the journey toward Iran. Speaking of Israel, Jerusalem appears to be more than happy to do whatever might be needed in order to bring down the Iranian regime. The Israeli Air Force flies over 60 F-15s and F-15Es, nearly 200 lighter and more nimble F-16s, and almost 50 F-35 stealth jets, many of which were used in combat operations over Iran during the 12-day war and other exchanges from 2024 onward. Most Middle Eastern nations, especially the Gulf states, are not expected to contribute to the operation except by protecting their own airspace, but Jordan may take part, and according to Israeli media, Azerbaijan could get angered as well. In the Indian Ocean, the United States operates a major base on the island of Diego Garcia, where in 2025, Washington hosted B-2 and B-52 strategic bombers, even more Strike Eagle aircraft, and substantial numbers of air-to-air refueling tankers, although this time the flight volume to Diego Garcia seems to be lower than it was back then. Finally, there are the strategic bombers based elsewhere across the globe, even on US soil. Back in 2025, the US operation to bomb Iranian nuclear sites saw 7 B-2 bombers leave their airbase in the US state of Missouri, fly a 37-hour continuous flight, accept aerial refueling several times, and ultimately return to home base. America's other strategic bombers, especially its unstealthy but very dangerous B-2, could do the same. Now next we're going to turn our attention to America's likely plan of attack. But before we do, we're going to give a quick shout out to our very own premium subscription level, Front.co. Over on Front.co we publish multiple exclusive videos in addition to the 6 free episodes a week that we release here on Warfront. One recent episode